We're studying IGCSE ICT and we're starting safety and security 1. This chapter is all about how you can, what are the physical ways to protect yourself from digital threats, and what kinds of threats are there, what is virus, and what kinds of, what is phishing, what is farming, all of that. We'll have what is protection of data, what is copyright, and all of that. Let's start with the first thing, physical safety. Then we'll go to digital safety and the other stuff. I'll only read the highlighted part quick. Start from here. Yes.
Safety issues. Physical safety is a different issue to health risks, as discussed in chapter 5.2. While health safety is how to stop people becoming ill or being affected by daily contact with computers, physical safety is concerned with the dangers that could lead to serious injuries or even loss of life. Some of the more common risks, together with their major causes and possible prevention measures, are listed in table 8.1.
Stop. Now read only the highlighted points.
Electrocution, spilling liquids on electrical equipment, or exposed wires, or unsafe electrics. Do not allow drinks to be taken into the computer room. Check all wires on a daily basis and renew wires if there's any sign of damaged insulation. Equipment is checked on a regular basis. And use of RCB, residual current breaker, to prevent electrocution.
Well, that's, you'll have to memorize a few. You need at least 3 from here and at least 3 from here, any 3. Fire hazard. Well, fire hazard is based on overheating of things. Okay, you have you can get a short circuit which will increase the temperature so much that can cause a spark, and that spark will cause a fire. What else do we have? We have overloaded wall sockets. So overloaded, overheating, and exposed wires. How can you stop this? You need these. This is a key thing. You need fire extinguishers. You should check if all equipment is tested. Well, check all equipment on a regular basis. Check for cooling vents, and that's about it. Now, the one common answer for these questions always you realize is check every kind of equipment. That can fit into every safety risk here, right? Check all equipment or test it on a regular basis. Second thing with fire is that you need to have an extinguisher and allow a proper ventilation of the room. Good room ventilation. Next thing is tripping hazard. So trailing wires or damaged carpets, don't keep them. You should use cable ducts, cover exposed wires, and use wireless connectivity. So basically stopping people from falling or tripping over wires. Personal injury is, it's not that common, but you don't want to fall from heavy things. Your desk should not collapse because it should be properly maintained, all right? And should have a proper base. So use strong desks, use large desk and tables so that hardware is not too close to the edge. So that should not fall down. Let's start with e-safety. Ayan, start reading from e-safety.
Data protection. Many countries have some sort of data protection act, DPA. This is legislation designed to protect individuals and to prevent incorrect and inaccurate data being stored. Essentially, DPAs are set up to protect the rights of the individual about whom data is obtained, stored, and processed. For example, collection, use, disclosure, destruction, and holding of data. Any such act applies to both computerized and paper records. Many data protection acts are based on 8 principles as outlined in Figure 8.1. In many countries, failure to abide by these simple rules by anyone who holds data about individuals can lead to a heavy fine or even imprisonment.
That's true. Now, one thing I want you to read this again. The legislation designed to protect.
Legislation designed to protect individuals and to prevent incorrect or inaccurate data being stored. DPAs are set up to. Okay.
Stop. Next one. General guidelines are do not give personal information anywhere. Okay, do not leave personal information lying around. Lock cabinets at the end of the day to keep your documents secure. Do not leave data on computer monitor. You should lock or log off the computer, shut down the computer, use strong passwords and user IDs. They should be kept secure, and difficult passwords should be difficult to guess and change frequently. Now, next thing is, well, make sure anything sent in email is not sensitive. What that means basically is, do not share personal information. So do not leave or share personal information. Next, you have personal data. What does that mean? Personal data is anything concerned with, or whatever data you have as a human being, as an individual. Everyone has their own, let's say, a packet of data. They're like a profile. If you look at the profile of someone, you'll find everything about them. So let's say when you're using YouTube or something, or even Google, you have a Google account, they are tracking you. They have a lot of data about you, and they can create a whole, let's say, a whole profile on you. And these informations could include name, email address, ID card number, IP address, cookie ID, advertising identifier, date of birth, banking details, and photographs. Now, these are all your personal information, which are basically directly connected with your identity, right? So personal data is basically here. Next. So any information that can identify you as an individual. In the exam, you need at least 4 from these. Now, there's a lot more to it. Well, you have personal data, fine, but there's something called sensitive personal data. Now, these should be protected much more than just your name. Okay, you can share your name, fine, but things such as, let's say, political views, or let's say what kind of medical history you have, your criminal record, your genetic data, all of these are private data, or say sensitive data. Ayan, any questions?
No, sir.
Sensitive data is basically something you hide or which should not be released in the public. Fine. And now what ways to protect it? Well, you must keep it confidential and prevent inappropriate disclosure. Basically, don't share it with people you don't know. Don't share it with strangers. And to keep it safe is to encrypt the data. That's it. Encrypt it to keep the thing safe. Use, and everything from here applies. Use strong password ID, change it frequently, log off your computer, all of that. Now, e-safety. How can you be safe when you're using the internet? So e-safety is about user behavior. Actually, defined to be the safe and responsible use of technology. So read the highlighted part, e-safety. Ayan,
Yes, sir.
read from e-safety, the highlighted part only.
Oh, I thought I had to write it. E-safety refers to the benefits, risks, and responsibilities, safe and responsible use of technology.
Right, so it's basically the benefit, risk, and responsibility for safe and responsible use of technology to be safe on the internet, right? Next thing is, well, which conditions are these talking about, or which circumstances? Well, especially using the internet, emails, using internet, social media, and online gaming. That's a big thing. Now, using the internet could be, you need to have a few precautions when you're using the internet. Look out for websites, or let's say, make sure websites are trusted. How do we know this? By looking at HTTPS or green padlock symbol. That's key. This is important. Next thing is only purchase from sites that offer secure encrypted connections. So purchase items from a site secure encrypted connection, right? Next thing is use safe search and highest possible level of security. have antivirus and anti-malware software that is always running, and it should be up to date, which is also key. This one. It's more important to keep it up to date than running it always. Lastly, just like our password should be changed regularly, your antivirus should be kept up to date. Next thing is always log out of websites, and also you should delete any cookies you may have. So let's keep this out. Remember to log out.
Sir, what exactly is a cookie?
What is a cookie? I'll tell you. Cookie is like this. Let's make it right here. Now I'll tell you what a cookie looks like. Looks like chocolate chip cookie, but that's not what we're talking about, obviously. We're talking about something quite different. We're talking about digital information, which, just like this cookie, imagine this cookie to be like a packet. Okay, if I open this packet and I make it bigger, this packet can have a few things. It can have your IP address. It can have your username, or basically your login credentials. And there's another word for cookies that means cache. You know what cache is? Cache is temporary memory. So this is basically temporary memory your website keeps to make it easy for you to log in, or to whenever you open, let's say whenever you open Google, how does it always log in to your own account? Or when you open YouTube, how do you automatically log in? Or why does the website keep you logged in? Why does it not log out when you close it? Because these cookies are stored, which keep you logged in. It's basically temporary memory, which has your IP address. Yeah, it has your login credentials. Or to be very honest, or to define it, it's basically data used to allow quick access to websites. Is that clear? Any questions?
No, sir.
So let's just saying use, it's not really used, it's stored. So data is stored on your computer. So whenever you open a computer, a website, everything doesn't really load all over again. Most websites will only load the new things there are. Let's say if you already have open, let's say a website, a news website, and nothing has no news is there, no new news is there. So that website is stored in the cache of your browser. If you open it again, it will open at least 10 times faster than the first time, because all the images and everything are stored on your computer. Now let's remove this from here. They won't really ask. They will ask you. This is in your syllabus, by the way, but we look at it afterwards. We look at this in internet and networking, chapter number 5. Now, cookies are stored every time you use a website, so you should clean them up or clear cookies, delete cookies. Well, that's too much. You don't have to do that, but a lot of hackers use these cookies to hack you, basically. That's why it's a big deal now. Every website is going to ask you, do you really need to store these cookies? Or do you allow us to store the cookies? If you say no, they cannot. Now, sending and receiving emails. Again, this is the most basic thing. You must have done this in class 8 or 9. Open emails only from known sources. Use effective email filtering. Reply to email if the person, you know who the person is. And lastly, check the email address of this. Because look, this right here, if I say support dot, or let's say support dot apple@gmail.com is not really a safe email address, because even though it has the name Apple in it and support, it's not really from Apple, because that will look like @apple.com. They have a custom domain name. So that's what they mean by check email address. Next thing is anything else? Beware of phishing and farming scams. That's later in the chapter. Avoid clicking on hyperlinks. That's important. That's it. So don't click on hyperlinks. Don't click on any link. Actually, do not open emails from only open emails from known sources, and only reply if you know the person. Social media, do not publicly post personal information. Don't send photos to people you don't know. Well, that's ironic. That's the whole point of social media, that you're posting to random people who can hack you or they can steal your identity. But not a lot of people care about that. But you should. So don't post photos to random people. Keep your account private. All right, all right, all right. Use the privacy settings on social media sites. Uh, these are enough, at least, actually. These kind of questions don't really ask you to memorize anything. You'll have to think about this in exam. You'll have to look at questions, the format of these social media and email. Email is you just have to memorize these. But for social media, it's more general kind of questions. Next, these blog report anybody you act suspiciously, especially inappropriate language. And do not enter private chat rooms. That's about it. Respect confidentiality. Avoid misuse of images. Online gaming. If someone is, let's say, cyberbullying you, please report them. Use voice masking technology. Do not use webcams. And especially stay aware of predators on gaming platforms. Now that's done. Any questions on these parts of the chapter? I am. Yes. Any questions?
No, sir.
Now, if you think you want to go over it in more detail, we'll do that when we solve questions on this chapter. This is the main part. Okay. You'll have to memorize all of this. Now we can't hurry up on this. Let's first start with what kind of security do you have? What data threats do you have? You have hacking, phishing, wishing, smishing, farming, virus, malware, card fraud, and bank fraud. Not really bank fraud, but all of these. Now these sound quite similar, but all of these are their own thing. The main things are phishing and farming, malware, and I want you to know these as well. Let's start from here. Now hacking. What is hacking? Ayan, read from here.
This is the act of gaining unauthorized or illegal access to a computer system.
So unauthorized access, basically. Now, what problems can this cause? It can lead to identity theft. One. Second thing is data can be deleted, changed, or corrupted. That's what you write in the exam. Now, how can you prevent this? Use strong password, change frequently. That's a big thing. Change it frequently. Use antivirus software and update it quickly, regularly. Firewall, strong password, anti-hacking software. Update it regularly. Now, phishing. What is phishing? Smishing, wishing. What does that mean? Now, all of these, well, phishing is basically email address. Smishing is SMS, and wishing is voicemail. Now, voicemail and SMS are not really the big trend in today's generation, but emails are a big thing. So start from here. It's basically sending out legitimate-looking emails to target, or let's say to target recipients, or let's say to cause. From here, I am start reading the highlighted part.
Out legitimate looking emails to target, link in the email or attachment. They're sent to a fake website into giving personal data.
So all that's happening is you have this email, and it's obviously fake, but the main key thing is there's a link in it. Let's say href like an HTML tag, and it will have some link here. Perfect. Now this link, let's say xyz.com. Now what happens is if you click this one, you'll go to a website which is fake website. And the main deal of this scam or fraud is to steal your data. So you'll have a form here which will ask your credit card number, ask your social security number perhaps, or something, Aadhaar card number, passport number, all of that. So credit, all of that, right? So this is personal information. Any questions? Now, how is this different from farming? And you know what farming is?
No, sir.
I will go with it. Now, stealing information, it's a 3-step process. Send email, click link to, and finally, steal personal information. Stealing personal information. How can you? What are the problems from this that you can gain access to personal data such as bank account data, credit card number, etc. Leads to fraud and identity theft. How do you filter this? Filter out phishing emails. Do not click on links in emails. That's a big thing. Please don't. We are studying cybersecurity, and in that, there have been so many, let's say, events in the history of computer science that we've looked at. Let's say great hackers, let's say legendary hackers who have caused a massive wave of, let's say, hacks all over Europe and the United States. The big thing that happened was in 2008, 2002 perhaps. What happened was emails are not, since then it has gotten much more secure, but in 2002, this anonymous hacker sent out emails to, let's say, thousands of people. And when they clicked on that link, the whole computer got, let's say, jammed or blocked, right? So when it got blocked, there was no way, no way to remove the hack, basically. So that caused about $3 trillion of loss. That's a lot of money. Let's continue. Now, all you need to know for smishing is exactly same thing, but uses SMS. Okay, sends you fake text message or fake email, which goes to fake website to steal personal information. Wishing is voicemail. Basically, this is to trick you to call the number. When you call the number, they'll ask for your personal information. Let's go to farming. Farming is a bit different. It's nothing like phishing, and a lot of people confuse it with farming and fishing. So let's compare both of them. First, Ayan, read from here. Ayan, read the highlighted part. Ayan, you're muted. Ayan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Start reading from here. Farming. Only the highlighted words.
Malicious code installed on user's computer, redirect the user to a fake website without their knowledge, gain personal data such as credit, debit card details, fraud or identity theft, and anti-spyware software.
So, okay, how do we need, how can we protect from it? These anti-spyware software, and instead in phishing, we use email filter. So filter the emails, but in this we use anti-spyware software. Okay. Next thing is check the URL before you use it. So this is much more dangerous. You don't have to do anything. User is not taking any action. It's not clicking on the link. All that's happening is that malicious code is being installed on your computer and it's sending to someone else, or causing sending basically data to a third party. So malicious code is installed, but here fake email is sent. Now virus and malware. You have viruses, you have worms, you have Trojan horse, keyloggers, ransomware, adware. The big things are over here are keyloggers, viruses, ransomware. That's it. Let's start from here.
Start after read it.
Yeah.
Viruses are programs or program code that replicates copies itself with the intention of deleting or corrupting files.
Next thing is start from here. Virus.
This can program code or software that can replicate
Same
/
thing
copy
actually.
itself.
Stop. Read from here. That's the same thing here, right? Program that replicates. That's the big thing, and intention of deleting or corrupting file. The next thing is from here. What happens because of it? So you can cause computer to crash, delete files, and corrupt operating system files. How do you prevent this? Install antivirus and update it regularly. That's a key thing. Update regularly. If you don't try that, then you won't get marks for this point. Next thing is don't use software for unknown sources, and do not open email attachments. That's it. Any questions in virus?
No, sir.
Let's move on. Now worms. Worms are a big thing. Now these are a standalone type of virus, and their job is not like viruses. Worms are actually the job of the virus is to basically hide and replicate as much as they can, right? So they don't really delete your files. They don't really copy things and take access. All their job is, they do allow access, but their job is to stay hidden and replicate as much as they can. So even if you delete one guy, it's going to spread everywhere. That's what worms do. Their job is to corrupt whole networks. Read the highlighted part.
Worms are a type of standalone virus that can self-replicate. Their intention is to spread to other computers and corrupt whole networks.
All right. Now, next thing is worms frequently arrive as message attachments, which you can open as some email, or which can end up basically infecting the whole network. That email could be a message, email, or even some file from the internet. Now, one thing is, yep, that's it. How do you prevent it? Use an antivirus. Don't open email attachments and everything. Same as the virus, but the only thing different is they target networks. Instead of files, they target networks. And to target networks, they must replicate and reach all parts of the network. Now imagine what happens if this worm reaches every part of your network and suddenly blocks all the users from accessing it. Then the whole network crashes. And that happens all the time if you look at history. Now, Trojan horse is basically a file which looks like something else, but is actually something else. It's like a horse, and inside the horse, let's say you have, this is your horse, perhaps. Looks like a cow, but that's a horse. And the main thing is there is virus inside it. So it looks like a normal thing. Let's say it's going to be CS Photoshop. cc12.x, but inside it there's a small section that is actually a virus. So the rest of it, the code is proper, it works properly, but virus is hidden inside it. All right, read the highlighted part quick.
A Trojan horse is a malicious program which is often disguised as some legitimate software, but contains malicious instructions embedded within it.
Next thing is, look from here. The highlighted part only, and quick.
They need to be executed by the user and therefore usually arrive as an email attachment or downloaded from an infected website. Once installed on the user software, the Trojan horse will use cyber criminals access to personal information on your software computers, such as IP addresses, passwords, and other personal data. Because they rely on trick-ending users, firewalls and other security systems are often useless because the user can overrule them and initiate the running of the malware.
Right. So firewalls and security systems don't work. What you can do for this is to use an anti-malware. All right, anti-malware software. Firewalls don't work. Firewall is something different. It basically prevents viruses from coming into your computer. But what happens in this case is, since they look like an actual computer software, the firewall will never stop it. So then it's useless. So the only thing we can do is use an anti-malware software. Next, keyloggers. Keyloggers are spywares. What spywares do is they record keystrokes, stores keystrokes, and send to cyber criminals or third party. Fine. And the next thing is, right. Fine. So you just need to use anti-spyware for this. Nothing else. Ayan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Since they're also celebrating it, it's quite noisy around here. Now, okay. Key logging software. Read the highlighted part quick.
Keylogging software or keyloggers is a form of spyware. Software stores keystrokes in a small file, which is automatically emailed to the cyber criminal. Keyloggers can be detected and removed by anti-spyware software.
Perfect. All right. Not a big thing actually. That's done. The adware. What is an adware? Adware is type of malware. It's the least dangerous. All it does is basically provide you with unwanted advertising. Right? That's it. And quick, read the highlight part.
Adware is a type of malware. At its least dangerous, it will attempt to flood an end user with unwanted advertising, highlight weakness in a user security, hard to remove, and hijack your browser and create its own default search.
Search. What that means is basically search engine. You must have gotten there. Sometimes what happens is your search engine changes. So if you search something on Google, it will actually show up on a random search engine website, or show some ads on Google as well.
So it's not that harmful.
It's not that harmful, but it's the hardest to remove, right? Now, they won't ask you this in the exam. They won't ask you what is hard to remove or not. What all they will ask you is describe an adware or give two let's say, security problems with adware, or what is adware, all of that. Fine. Or you'll have to match the following kind of thing. So advertising, basically advertising, right? That's it. I need to memorize that they can highlight this weakness in your security. Because if these guys can work on your computer and they're least dangerous, obviously, they can allow other viruses to also work with them. These adwares, they usually bring other viruses with them. These are not that strong, but they bring other people with them that are more dangerous. The ransomware is the most dangerous thing here, which is ransomware encrypts data and holds the data hostage. Look at this. Do you know what encryption means, Ayan? Encryption. What is encryption, Ayan?
Sir, it's like when a file is stored in a software.
Not really, no. But, right, there's a lot I have to tell you. Not on this, but since ICT is a computer science subject, these things you should know them. General knowledge. So encryption is basically converting, let's say, simple text or plain text into ciphertext by using, let's say, some kind of pattern, or let's say by using encryption key. What it basically is, turning data into coded format. That cannot be understood by hackers. You understand what it means?
Yes, sir.
What is it? Tell me.
It converts regular text into a cipher.
Cipher, which is basically some pattern, right? Some hidden algorithm or some code is applied on it. So it's a secret pattern kind of thing. So if you say it's a secret language, you say it to someone else, they'll understand it. The only person with the encryption key can understand it. Whoever has a key can decrypt it. All right. Now what's happening is, what if a hacker encrypts your data? Now only the hacker can understand your data. You cannot understand it because it's locked. It's like locking your data. So you don't have the key, and you'll have to ask the hacker for the key. Now, the biggest companies, they have had to pay about 3 billion, no, not 3 billion, I think, 100 million. That's the highest someone has paid for this kind of an attack. That was in France, where a company got hacked and they took all the data of the company. Let's say that would be terabytes of data, and they locked it with a ransomware. And the only way to unlock it would be to get the key. Otherwise, all the data is useless. Now, next thing is, let's say, to avoid this is to keep a backup of important files. If you have a backup, then even though they can, let's say, lock your files, you will have a backup. So, well, just delete the locked files. Nobody cares. So always have a backup. Now, this is the summary. You'll have to memorize it. Any questions here in ransomware?
No, sir.
Now, card fraud, I think anything else? Yeah, biometrics. All right. So we'll just look at card fraud right now, and then we'll start the last thing, which is protection of data later. Now, card fraud is basically when you have shoulder surfing or card cloning or keylogging. These are card fraud. So it's basically illegal use of a card, a debit card. What happens is, some people will basically put a top cap on this, which will look like a normal keypad. But when you put keys on it, it will send that password to someone else as well as the ATM. So for you, everything will be common or as usual, but your key, your PIN, ATM PIN will be sent to someone else who can then steal your card or use the PIN. Another thing people can do is stand over you and steal your PIN. Look at your credit card number and your PIN, or debit card number and the PIN, or the CVV as well. That's what shoulder surfing is. Card cloning is basically copying all the data on your credit card. Shoulder surfing is data theft. Criminals steal person data when there's someone is using an ATM perhaps or a point of sales terminal. So it's basically like you're standing here and there's someone behind you who can see what you're doing. Right? Yeah, they steal the card data on your card. And they run away and use your card as to buy things. Now, how can you prevent this? Well, shield the keyboard, the ATM keyboard, and use whenever you're using a mobile device. Don't say it in public. So, nor should say the card details in public. Next thing is don't be near any cameras. Or use biometric data. So just a few things. If they're looking over you, shield the keyboard. Don't say it out loud, and do not allow yourself to be recorded with a camera, which can allow. Let's say someone is taking a selfie behind you. Tell them to not take the photograph or stop until they're done, right? Or use another ATM if they're not if there is a camera hidden over there. Next thing is right. This one. What is a shimmer? I read the highlighted part.
Therefore, different device known as a shimmer is now used to read these smart cards. There's a paper-thin shim that contains a chip and a flash drive that can be put into a card reading slot. It is so thin that it is almost impossible to detect.
Look, what happens is when you have this ATM pin card here and you enter the card right here. Fine. Now, what happens is when you enter the card inside it, one thing happens. Before, what they used to do was they used to steal your ATM pin. Fine. But now people know what's happening. Now what people do is they put something inside this thing right here. They put a blue kind of film inside it. So when you enter the card, and it's so thin that you can't, as there's no way you're going to put your hand inside the ATM and remove it. You need specialized tools to do that. So this is quite a difficult thing to overcome. It's called a shimmer. It's used to read smart cards, and it's very thin and hard to detect. Now, what is key logging? Key logging is the same thing. It uses a software which will record your keystrokes and send it to a third party. How do you prevent it? Use anti-spyware technology. Not technology, anti-spyware software. Right? Protection of data is next to us. And any important questions?
No, sir.
So we finished this chapter. It's not that difficult, especially the difficult part would be solving partial questions on this and understanding where to apply what knowledge and memorizing the chapter. Fine. Now you have a homework on web authoring in the GCR. It's a past paper, 2022 May June, paper 31. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So check the GCR for the assignment. Have you joined the GCR?
Not yet.
Not yet. Come on. All right. Get the latest book and get the homework. I want it done by the next class. Is that clear? Because website authoring is long gone now. We're doing a new chapter, right?
Yes, sir. I'll try it.
All right. Take care. Goodbye.
Bye, sir. Take care.